Are we there yet?
No!
Are we there yet?
No!
Are we there yet?
No!
Are we there yet?
Yes!
Dad, I'm hungry.
G'day humans, Chris Stead here. I'm on the road and I've just gotten off Quantum of the Seas, the Royal Caribbean cruise ship here at the Brisbane International Port Terminal. And we've just done a 10-day cruise across the South Pacific, visiting Vanuatu and New Caledonia on the way. Now, I'm going to give you a in-depth tour of everything there is to see on this boat and some of my thoughts about the room and the service and the shows and all the types of things, experiences you can have on here to help you if you're deciding that you will want to also take this cruise as me and my family have just done. Now, during this review, there's going to be some pros, some cons, some criticisms. But I do want to say that overwhelmingly, it's been a really positive experience. We've had a really good time. And I definitely say this is a good value for money option for families, especially in 2023 when the prices of airplane tickets to get out of the country are so damn horrendous. Now, I can also, having just departed the boat, talk to the onboarding and offboarding procedure, and I have to say they've both been pretty good, much better than an airport. I think we probably went from arriving to getting on board and into the ship in probably, I'd say, less than half an hour. And I reckon we've just departed in less than half an hour too, and that including the customs and everything. So really good start and end in that regard. And like I said, I'm going to give you a big tour, so let's just jump straight into it and check out my review of the Quantum of the Seas. Alright, let's start with the stateroom. Let's come in. So, the staterooms I've been on I've been on the Wonder of the Seas, I've been on the Odyssey of the Seas, this is the Quantum of the Seas. So it's 3 different classes of ship. Well, Quantum class has 2 1/2, it has Quantum class and it has Quantum class plus. Odyssey is Quantum class plus, this is Quantum class, Quantum of the Seas, and Wonder of the Seas is Oasis class, this next class up. But all 3 of them have exactly the same rooms. So if you've seen one of my previous reviews about cruises, there's not a hell of a lot of difference here, but in case you haven't, I'll take you through the entire thing. We have stateroom 12186 with a bit of a twist this room has, because with my previous reviews I was flying solo, but this time I have my family with me. So I'll explain that a bit more in a second. But look, they're all exactly the same. All of the staterooms pretty much, unless you get one of the corner ones, which get a bit bigger, like wider, and have bigger balconies. And then the interior rooms, which kind of just basically have no window and just have the bed and the toilet. And they have like almost like a full wall size TV that kind of pretends it's the outside, like a screen. So it comes with the couch and it comes with the bed. The couch we have never sat on, I don't think. It's been holding stuff the whole entire time, but we've never actually sat on it. In terms of storage, there's plenty for a couple or even a family. So heaps of hanging space, the racks, shoe spots down here. And then you also have another one here, less space, probably the dude's one. The safe in it as well, a few bits and pieces. You got storage up here on both sides, which you didn't even need. More storage beside the bed, which I'll show you in a sec. And over here you've got a dresser with various bits and pieces in it, as well as a fridge, which you don't really need because everything is catered for. It's not a mini bar, it's just a fridge. So unless you want to put a beer in there and have it later, not a hell of a lot of use to it really. And I don't think we've really used it at all. The little desk here is nice. We've never actually used it because as soon as you want to do any work, you'd go somewhere else on the ship, such as the library in 270, or even just up onto the deck and sit on the deck chair and get your laptop out. I've never felt a need to sit here, but it's a nice inclusion. And the big mirror, obviously, you may have noticed I'm not a female, so I don't do a lot of time in front of the mirror with makeup. No time, actually. But perhaps it becomes more useful then. Note that all the power points are American. So you're going to need an adapter if you're Australian like me, or a Pommy or whatever. There is direct USB-A charging, 2 ports only. These are not fast charging, so if you want to, it's good to have at least one adapter so you can just fast charge, you know. Very sliding, there's lighting that goes all the way around this. Everything kind of lights up differently. Over here you got the TV on the wall. It's not particularly useful. There's a couple of decent channels. There's a Red Bull TV channel. There's a couple of channels that masquerade as movie channels. I didn't actually ever come across anything that was worth watching. There are a couple of kids' cartoon channels, so that has kept them entertained at times. But it's not a huge value add. They do have videos on demand. They're kind of oldish movies and they cost a lot of money, but if you wanted to sit in for the night, or maybe if you're not feeling so well, you could sit in here and watch a movie. It is possible. I don't think it's got, I can actually check, but I don't think it's got accessible USB ports anywhere. So I don't think you can bring a USB key. No. Shame. Okay, bed, look, it's quite firm. I would say it is comfortable. The pillows are great. Really nice pillows, not particularly firm pillows. If you like a big, thick, firm pillow, you're going to luck out. There's not much variation between the two pillows. One's definitely a little bit thicker, and one's definitely way too light for, I think, most humans to use. But you do have the 4 pillows, so you got an option there. The bed is quite firm, as I said. I found it okay, not too bad. I slept. They all have the split down the middle because they can all be split into twins. Split into two beds, so there's no dealing with that. The one thing that I don't like about the bedding in here, and I found this with the other one as well, the Odyssey of the Seas is exactly the same, is that none of the sheets seem to go all the way. And so if you're a tall guy like me, and your feet want to be out here, you're always off the end of the sheet, and it just feels weird on your feet. It's just uncomfortable. I don't understand it, but it's the same. It was the same on Odyssey of the Sea, and it's the same here as well. The sheet kind of ends there, and you got that much more bed than your feet. Okay, a bit weird. Tiny little side tables, they're kind of difficult to work with, especially this one over here. It's got the phone on it. If you have a look over there, you'll see. The phone's kind of handy because the kids can actually ring from anywhere in the boat to the room. There's kind of phones on every single deck that they can just grab if they need you. But not much space for water bottles or whatever. A bit more space on this side. Another power point though, which is handy because you can charge your phone and keep it near your bed, so that's great. Now out onto the balcony, I actually think they're quite spacious. You know, like, you don't spend nearly as much time out here as you think you're going to. But the chairs are comfortable enough. It was actually really, last night we actually sat here, it's the Pacific Ocean behind me, and just looked at the stars and watched the ocean thing pass. It was really quite nice. There's been many opportunities on this trip where we've kind of gone past like little atolls and reefs and islands, and just come out and gone, oh wow, and look around. It's been quite cool like that. And these can open. So if you want to join 2 rooms together on the deck, you can, but you have to ask the supervisor to do it. Speaking of asking supervisors, I should point out the staff that attend the rooms are fantastic. Really great attention to detail, really lovely people. Your stuff feels really secure here. You really don't stress about anything bad happening. And they're just lovely to talk to, and they work really hard, and they're good people. They are really good people. I noticed this on the Odyssey of the Seas as well, and as well as the Wonder of the Seas. The bathroom, shower is fine. Okay pressure actually, not too bad pressure. It doesn't get very cold, and that might be a weird thing to say, but there are times when you're going around the South Pacific where you really want a cold shower. and you can't really get one. It kind of just goes lukewarm at best. So that's the only very, very, very minor criticism. Over here though, plenty of space for the toilet, the sink, place to put all your stuff, you know, exactly the same as the previous ones I went on, so not too bad there. Now here's the little secret. You can get adjoining rooms. So me and my wife stayed in this room and the 3 kids stayed in the following room. If you come through, I'll show you. It's literally a mirror. So I'm not going to have to walk you through this again. It's literally a mirror. It's exactly the same room. And the 3 kids stayed in here. Now we could have split this into twins, but the kids didn't want to when the time came to ask. I think they probably regretted that in the end, but anyway. So we had 2 on there and 1 on there. Now if you get a 4-person cabin, we were told, I haven't experienced, I haven't been in what they call a 4-person cabin, but we were told it's pretty much exactly the same and 2 people sleep on that as well. Which I don't think is going to be that big an issue with a couple of kids that aren't too old, right? Now, one of the things I was really, really worried about when, before we took this cruise, given that we have a 7-year-old as our youngest child, and he's a real climber, and he doesn't listen at all, and I think it's fair to say he's a bit of an arsehole, but luckily, up here, there is a parent lock. And when that parent lock is pulled, the door will not open, and it cannot open. Right, so unless they get up here and they can move this in, they can't open the lock. Now, they probably could if they really wanted to do this, but I really wasn't worried about that because I don't think most children are going to do that. I was really worried about sleepwalking. That's what I was really worried about, and that's not a concern. I will say that when we first got into this room, that was broken, and I let our room attendant know, and I reckon it was fixed within the hour. So I said, look mate, that's not good enough. I've got children in this room, I really need that fixed. And he got it sorted out like that, and it's been fine ever since. So if you're like us, and you're stressing about that type of thing, if you're a first-time cruiser, and this is the first time my family's been on a cruise, you don't really have to stress. And we've actually evolved to the point where we've been happy to let the kids come back here and just sit down on the bed and watch the TV when they're really exhausted, and we haven't been fully stressed about the fact that there's a balcony right there and there's a big drop. So that's a good thing. The one thing I will say that hasn't been so good, and I'll take you into the other room to show you this actually, is that Quantum of the Seas is a bit older than the Odyssey of the Seas, and it's a lot older than the Wonder of the Seas, which are the 2 other boats that I've been on in the Royal Caribbean class. And the one thing I've noticed about this is it just bits and places here and there, the wear and tear. So if you turn around here, have a look. Down here, you can see, for example, that's fallen off. If I show you the curtain here, you close the curtain, you can probably see, you know, the curtain's all ripped and faded. Have a look up here. It's probably hard to tell in this light, but you know, so the chairs out the back are the chairs on the balcony are a bit tethered at the end as well. So there's just that little bit of age starting to show or creep in. I wouldn't say it's affected us in any way, shape or form. The key things like the air conditioning still works great. And I haven't heard any sound, and we're on level 12, and I have heard, other than occasionally hearing kids kind of running on the top deck, it's really been kind of fine. I can't say I can complain about the sound or anything. So all of that sort of things are fine, but it's just starting to show its age, you can see, right? It's just starting to show its age in a few corners, and that's something that I'm kind of wish they'd worked on a bit during COVID. Like they had that large break where they probably could have gone through and replaced all the curtains and checked for that kind of like wear and tear and just fixed those things up. And I don't feel like they probably did that. But again, a minor criticism really. Okay, so that's pretty much all I can tell you about the staterooms on the Quantum of the Seas, my experience with them anyway. I have kind of walked past rooms and seen into other rooms. The interior rooms aren't as claustrophobic as you might think. They're kind of more squarish, and they have like a screen on the wall that kind of pretends to be the outside world, so it's not daunting, I don't think. And you spend so little time in here, you really do. You spend so much time out on the deck and around. I definitely loved having the balconies, it was great. Could I survive without them? Yes, I could have. It's what price you can get it at. If you end up having to pay an extra $1,000 for the balcony, that's probably not worth it. If it's in the hundreds of dollars, then it probably is worth it. That would be my take on it. Anyway, so that's all I can tell you at the stateroom. Now let's take a tour of the rest of the Quantum of the Seas, and I'll tell you some more. All right, let's do it. So as mentioned, we're on floor 12 and 186 and 184. Now I found deck 12 to be a good spot. You can walk up the stairs to get to the pool deck and the sports Seaplex and the windjammer. So you don't have to wait for elevators for any of those kind of key destinations, at least, but most of the time. And you want to go downstairs, you can walk down the stairs, which is a lot easier than walking up. So I rate this spot. We haven't had here very little from the top deck, which has been good. Now here are the elevators. They are midship and forward of the ship. And look, you can have some pretty decent wait times for those, especially after a show or something that's just happened, which can be a bit frustrating. There's always the stairs, of course. And in general, I don't find walking around this ship to be nearly as painstaking as, say, Wonder of the Seas. It's a much bigger ship, and you really realise that when you start walking around. So I walked around the running track upstairs, which I'll show you in a bit, and it was 750 steps to do a lap. So that gets you an indication. Now down here's Adventure Club. I thought I'd show you this first because, as you can see here, the Adventure Ocean it's called. And this goes over 2 stories. And it's kind of it should have been good having a room close to here, but we haven't really used this. And you see they're broken into years. So you got 9 to 11, and they're playing brandings again. It's like kind of a workshop in there of some sort. And then, as you can see, it goes down to a 2nd story down there, which kind of gets a real toddler territory. And there's some baby spots as well. It says 6 to 8 in here. I won't loiter around here too long, but yeah, look, with the Adventure Club, we haven't really used it because it's effectively just babysitting. They don't seem to do any sort of themes. It's not like we got to Vanuatu and they were like, okay, let's do a Vanuatu theme day and just something with the kids. The kids have complained that every time they've gone in there, it's been exactly the same thing. And it's been exactly the same thing for the whole couple of hours, which I'm pretty disappointed by. I reckon they should do a lot better with the kids' club activities and a lot better with finding ways to engage the kids so that the parents can actually use it. As it's turned out, like, we literally have to drag them there kicking and screaming because they don't have any fun. And that's just not good enough. So that's my 2 cents on that anyway. So I'll take you up to 13 is a floor that you can also sleep on. I would avoid it. You can hear a lot of stuff from upstairs. I've been on 13 before. So cleaners and stuff in the middle of the night, that kind of thing. All right, so here's floor 14. Probably the floor you spend the most amount of time. Hopefully I don't fog up as I walk into the South Pacific air. The towels have to be returned. It's $25 a pop, US. Although they're pretty good. Like, we had one towel just grabbed by some other person and they walked off with it and we went to explain and they were okay. I think if you're systemically stealing towels or losing them, you might be at a problem. So the solarium at the front, one of my favourite parts of the boat. It is an adults only area, well, at least 16 and up. It does have a bistro here. I haven't had a chance to actually eat, like order to eat. Otherwise they just do a buffet that's effectively like a smaller version of what you get in Windjammer. But it does act to thin out the crowd a bit, and does also allow you to eat without kids present should that be your desire. I don't get that choice. If I did, I'd take it. So up here you got a couple of cold pools. It was really cool when there was a bit of wave action outside, because these were really rocking in here. The water was tumbling over like waterfalls, and not dangerous, just a bit more fun. And down here my probably my favourite spot. You can look out the front of the boat and you sit in these spas, and the waiters will come and get you drinks pretty consistently, which is cool. It can be challenging to get a deck chair down here. There's some cabanas on the edge, which I have never seen free the entire time I've been on the boat, 10 days. But I think there's nothing forward of the boat really, except for a little helicopter pad down there or something. You can see, a great place to be. Floor can get a bit slippery. Did see one lady take a big stack. So these things here, I've never seen one free. I don't know what time people get there in the morning and throw their towels down on it, but it must be early. And the bar up there. I don't think this will be open yet. Oh no, there's people in there. And breakfast might still be on. Yeah, I'll give you a tour. Okay, so just wrapping up in here. So you just like a bit of a buffet. But you can also order from the menu here. Right, so we're headed out to the main pool deck. Now one thing they have on this boat, which they didn't have on the boat I went on in the Mediterranean, the Odyssey of the Seas, was a kind of indoor-outdoor area here. So you got the solarium, which is it's all under glass roof, and you come into this area, it definitely becomes a bit cooler. You can feel like a bit more of the outside world here. Lots of chairs and places to sit. Again, it can be challenging to get a spot, but they do on this boat anyway. And I've been told that this is pretty close to capacity. I was told by one of the staff members it's at 97% capacity. Although I will say that you get a different story from every single staff member. I don't mean that in a negative way. They're like genuinely trying to help. They're awesome, the staff. But I think sometimes they just don't know, or they've heard their own rumour. So you can ask the same question to 5 different staff members and get 5 different answers, and they're not trying to lie to you, but they just don't really know. Anyway, so you've got the 2 spas down there, which are always pretty full, and a cool area, and this is all under glass. It's a bit more temperature controlled. It was really handy when we were like right in the heart of the South Pacific. It was pretty humid. You could come in here and just kind of escape the sun and escape the humidity. So I rate that. At first when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a bit lame. Why would you put the pool, hide one of the pools under this thing? But I'm all for it, having now been here. And we spent most of our time in here as a result. I will say, one of my big disappointments, is kind of the typical dump a towel and run away, is that the quality of the mattresses here, like this stuff, is really not in good condition. I understand it gets a lot of use, but I don't feel like anything was revamped during the COVID break. Like all of them are just like, you just go straight through the wicker, they all had it. So that's a bit disappointing. I think I could have done a lot more during COVID, I think, to revamp a fair bit of this boat. But by the same token, I understand that the income was well down. Here's the smoking section. Come here to passively die. And then as you can see, you get to the outdoor area. Got another couple of spas here to go with the 2 spas in the last section, plus the spas in the solarium. Getting a spot out here in the sun is tough. I don't think I've done it and managed it one day. But they say that you're not allowed to leave your towel on the seat and walk off for any more than 30 minutes. That is not enforced. It hasn't been too bad though, because all those upstairs ones have been empty pretty much the whole time, so I wouldn't complain. When I was in the Odyssey of the Seas over the Mediterranean, like the whole entire top deck and the whole entire bottom deck was full, and you couldn't get a seat anywhere. At least here you can still get a seat, you just got to go upstairs. And another bar here. And the ever popular ice cream joint, which opens up as well. Look at this, it's unbelievable, there's no one in it. Now, they do have a band that plays up there. It's loud. So you see on that little platform up there. And they do have DJs and that out here, and it's cool, it's a good atmosphere unless you've got kids and families, and it's freaking loud and gets really irritating really quickly. So it's something to avoid if you can. That's for another reason why you get the inside. I also don't like this TV. So it's been really cool, they've done some outdoor movies on it and stuff like that. When they did the belly flop competition out here the other day, they were showing it on the big screen, which was great. But then when they're not using the big screen, instead of just turning it off, what they do is they just run these YouTube videos on it constantly. And I've spent enough, I've left home to stop my kids getting on bloody YouTube and bloody screens the entire time. And they just sit in the pool and watch YouTube. Just wish I'd turn it off. As you can see, they're life jackets, which is cool. Very cool. Now, two things at this end. So this is supposed to be the lunch joint. It hasn't opened the whole time I've been here. On the first day, it didn't open. I asked the guy, I said, what's the go? And I said, oh, something's broken, and it'll be open tomorrow 11 o'clock, and it just has never opened. Which is a real shame. It's been a real shame. It creates two problems. The first is, this is a place where you can come and get food without leaving the pool area. So when you're wet and whatever, and you don't have shoes, you can just come here and pick up the food. And this is really, like, I used this a lot in the last one I went on. But also, it halves the crowd in the windjammer. Well, not halves it, but it takes a huge chunk of the crowd away. So as a result, the windjammer has been twice as busy. Which hasn't been great. I just don't know I don't know what's going on there. There's probably a legit reason. But, the other thing is that here you got this splash pool. Now, on the other boats I've been on, and I swear on this boat originally they had like a proper splash park here, waterworks and like spray jets and things like that, and buckets that fall on your head. And it's just, I got on the boat and it's just not here. Instead there's this water pool and those waves are moving around in it. And look, the kids seem to really enjoy it. But I wonder what happened to the splash zone. And when you step up to the kind of the Quantum Class Plus and then the Oasis Class boats, those waterworks and stuff really start to make a difference. Alright, I'll give you a quick look into the windjammer, which should be just about wrapping up. Here's the middle of this, so that gives you an idea of the distance. The middle of the boat. So the windjammer is a classic buffet, It can be challenging getting tables and chairs in here, possibly because as I mentioned, the previous place has not been open. But it's not too bad, you'll get a place. There's pretty much the same food every single day for all three meals, with just the slightest variations here and there. So there is something new to find each time you're here, but it's more or less you're going to fall into the same pattern of finding what you like and eating it. So this is the breakfast menu at the moment. Today, for example, they have crepes that they're serving here. Other days they've had like eggs Benedict and things like that. Sometimes you come here and there's tomatoes, sometimes you come here there's mushrooms. Just little variations like that, but not much beyond that. Except for Australia Day. So we were on this boat during Australia Day, and they did a real good job putting a lot of effort in. And when I came here to the buffet that night, they had all you could eat prawns. It's like, yes! They had a huge pablo. Unfortunately, that got finished before I got there. They had lamingtons and a few other bits and pieces like that, like fish and chips and a couple of Aussie pies, some stuff like that, but all you can eat prawns. Jeez, I made my day. Right, so you can see, we're right at the end of breakfast right now, but see there's a fair few tables, and you can get all the way down the back and eat off the back of the boat, which I'll show you as well. And you can get your basic the coffee like this is all included, and basic like juices. They're drinks, not juices. If you know what the difference is, you know what I mean. And water, you can get that kind of stuff here, no problems. But if you want cafe coffee, unless you've got a drinks package, then you will not be getting that free. And right off the back of the boat there. Beautiful. Now I'll take you up the floor. So right now we're on floor 14, so it's 2 above where our room is. Take you up here onto kind of the second level of the outside area. Now my kids have spent a stack of time here. This is the sport area. Now, pros and cons again. There's the iFly up there, which you can probably see. Now I've done that previously, I haven't done it on this particular cruise. It's a paid extra, but you can go in there and have the full iFly experience. The flow rider is included to a point. Now I can see the queue there. I've seen it wrapped all the way around there. So you've got the bodyboard that you can see there, and it's kind of, you know, there's no real restrictions on it other than signing a waiver. You can go for your life in your queue. There's also a stand-up surfboard, which you have to do, you get 2 goes at it. And if you're stuck on the 2 goes, they kick you off and they don't give you a pass, and you can't come back and do it until the next day. You get another 2 goes. And this is a pretty hardcore approach because it's hard not to think that they're not trying to push you towards the paid lessons on that one. Because my son queued for over an hour, got on it, and he put his foot in the wrong spot, and the lady said nothing, and so his stack show was actually quite dangerous. And then she came back and had another go, and then she kicked him off, and I went, well, wait a second, you stuffed it up, you didn't tell him, you know, you should have caught that he was putting his foot in the wrong spot. She wasn't buying it and just kicked him off, and I went, he's waited an hour for that. And then there's a fair bit of that there, you know, like you can get on the bodyboard, you can wait an hour to get a go, and you get on the bodyboard, and someone before you will have 5-minute go because they don't stack, and then you'll go and then slip over once, twice, and then they just kick you off. And you're like, can't you just give everyone 2 minutes or something? So, you know, so it makes the wait justified. Anyway, the rock climbing. I just gave this a go this morning actually. Uh-oh, announcement. So that's not such a bad queue, you can see there. And my kids were on this earlier, and they were just going pretty much up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So they're having to really wait. Each of the Royal Caribbean boats has one of these pink things here. I've seen a cat. This time with a bear. And you've got the running track here. It just goes around the whole entire boat. Like I said, 750 steps for me. Might be slightly different for you. Alright, so through this door is the Seaplex. Now, right now, I hope you can still hear me, they've got laser tag on. So this cord in here has been completely covered with this blow up laser tag thing. It's a huge queue for a go. But my kids had a go of it, they had some fun. See the dodgem cars here, dodgem cars at some points. Other times this is just filled with people playing pickleball or soccer or basketball. My kids have really gone to the foosball here. I'll take you for a lap round so you can just see what to expect. See the queue. Some arcade machines in here, which I kept my kids away from as much as humanly possible. So they have done various tournaments and things like that in here. during our stay. There's roller skating on tonight, for example. There's a table tennis contest I entered. But the way that they do it can get quite frustrating. Like the first 4 days, every single time we turned up for something, they said, oh no, it's full, oh no, it's full, oh no, it's full. You're like, far out, what do you have to do to actually get included? And it's the same people, you know. If you're lucky enough to be in a suite, so you get to go out there and have your own sun deck on. Right, so you can see the laser tag down there. You can see some more arcades on the other side. Table tennis on both sides. And the bane of my existence, the Xbox area. Ancient Xboxes, so they literally got FIFA 2015, 7 years old. It's the old Xbox and the game is 7 years old. Give me a second, I'll get out of here so I can talk properly. Down the back here you have a hot dog cart as well, which is just, I guess it's a quick and easy place for kids to get food when they're in here. Good hot dogs. And varied as well, so I got a Bavarian sausage with some sauerkraut and mustard when I was with it. Alright, let's get out of here. Alright, back out to the outside of the boat. I'm back on the running track. Thought I'd show you this as well. There's just a little game here on the ground. There's been pretty much always someone on it, but not really crowded. So my kids, which are 7, 9 and 11, have been spending, or especially with the two boys, a 7 and an 11-year-old, have been in that Seaplex a lot. That's where they want to go. Now the problem is, for me, is they've just got 5 Xboxes set up playing Fortnite almost continuously, which are banned in my house. And so you just want them to be able to go out there and have some fun and not have to micromanage them. But every time I go out there to check on them, they're sitting watching bloody Fortnite. It's really frustrating. And I think it should be locked in a room where you need a tag or something to be able to go now. Maybe that's just me, but you pay all this money to go on this cruise to get them away from the idiot box, and then they're on the bloody idiot box. It's very frustrating. I know it's a holiday, but there's so much else to do. And they've got a lot of things which are just for adults or just for teenagers, like 12 to 17. But they don't have very much just for the little kids. And it's been quite frustrating a number of times. They just get there and they wait, like sometimes wait in a queue for 40 minutes and then get there and they just go, oh, you can't go. And it's like, oh. And that's kind of been a bit of a story around the boat. Like, they just haven't done that stuff well for the younger families, for the families on here, in my opinion. For example, you know, I've spoken through Adventure Ocean and how that hasn't really achieved its goal for mine. Like today, for example, they've got a movie on in the Royal Theatre in the middle of the day, midday. And you're like, great, you know, I'll put the kids in front of the movie and then me and my wife can go and have a couple of cocktails and relax and they'll be up for it because they love watching movies. I know I just complained about screens, but you know, at least it's not, you know, at least it's a story. And they're putting an adult movie. And you're like, far out. It's like the middle of the day. By the same token, the shows, which we've gone to every single show, but they're on at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, the first one. There's nothing on earlier than that when you actually could go with your young family. And then you get there and, you know, all the boomers that have got all the time in the world have taken all the spots. And then you're stuck up the back with your kids, you can't even see over their heads. Because you've got to try and get them fed and dressed and out of the, you know, just why don't just put on a show in the middle of the day for families? Like, work with us, people. We'll work with you. Anyway. So that's pretty much everything you're going to see an experience at the top. I didn't show you the North Star. Let's go ahead and show that. As you can see, there's stacks and stacks of spare spots up here. The North Star is on that big arm there. It's not up at the moment. It's paid extra, but it'll take you right up above the boat, and then it goes out kind of over the ocean. I've done it before. It is pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome experience. I'm not sure if it's worth the money for an entire family, but that's something you can do. All right, so between us and floor 5 is pretty much just accommodation. So what we'll do is I'll accelerate us downstairs and I'll give you a tour downstairs. Actually, before I go downstairs, I forgot, on floor 16 is a gym. I forgot because I haven't walked in here once. For the act of completion, let's go take a look. I have been in here on the previous boat, so expecting it to be the same. I can already tell you it is. Good on them. There are people that have been working out the entire time we've been on this cruise. I've been working on the right arm a fair bit. And no, that's not what you think. It's been cocktails. That's a good gym, you know. And I have had like little gym classes. There's always dance classes and things going on all day. I'll talk a bit more about that when we get downstairs. But you're never sure there's something to do, that's for sure. Yeah, so it could hold a lot of people in here. I don't know how full it gets. And just below us as well is the spa, by which I mean the pamper and massages and that type of thing. It's priced just well beyond the means of any normal person, especially any family. It's pretty much just rich people only down there. Sorry to say. But it is available. I'll see if I can go down and film the prices for you. A little artwork they got on all the floors, it's cool. So, listen, I'm just going to help myself, huh? So here, I'm sure you can get a pedicure and the like. There's a full area down here. I don't know if they do it on this boat, but I have been on Royal Caribbean boats before where they'll do Botox and all kinds of things down here. But I'm sorry, I can't give you too much on that because it's just not my go. Thermal suite. Somewhere in here there's some rocks, like some big rock slabs you can lie on. I've seen those before. I'd say these are the massage rooms. And I feel like at any second I get in trouble, so I will zoom you down to downstairs. Okay, so getting around the boat isn't as hard as you might think. Pretty clear indications of where to go, where to be, which direction you're on, where you are, and where you need to go. Yet every single time we got out of the lift, my wife and kids have walked the wrong way. But anyway. So we are right at the front of the boat right now, and I'll show you the Royal Theatre. Which hopefully I can get into, we'll see. There we go, so nothing doing at the moment. So definitely one of the things I was most looking forward to on this cruise was being able to show my kids some shows. So we've been here every night and watched every show at least once. Like I said, it can get quite challenging to get seats sometimes, unless you get here early. Unless you get here early, you're pretty good, but really good lighting, really good sound. I will say, and maybe it's a bit unfair, but I'd say it's about 50-50 on the quality of the shows. Some of them have been really fun and entertaining. Mostly the Aussie guys have brought on, but a lot of it's also been quite mediocre. Which is disappointing only because for me, having been to Odyssey of the Seas over in the Mediterranean, every show was great. Like, really good. Whereas here it's been hit and miss. But still, don't get me wrong, I'm really happy that they do it. I'm really happy that there's this experience every single night. But it's pretty much all been in here, the theatre, and not in 270. And I'll show you, I want to walk you through the floor right now to the other side, and you'll get an idea of why I'm a bit unsure why they have left 270 out of most of the shows. So there's 2 levels to the Promenade. We're on the top level right now. The schooner bar in here, they've had a pianist and a violinist playing sporadically all the time, done some trivia in here and everything. Bit of an old folks hangout, but still really nice. Oh, I haven't talked about specialty dining. Here's Chops Grill. Here's the only one I haven't done, and I really wanted to. We had a three dining package, and this is the one that ended up missing the run, unfortunately. I've done separate videos on the other 3 that I did do, but God, they're good. They're really good. I would have loved to have had that Chops Grill, but the kids outvoted me. We went to a Zumi's, which is a Japanese joint, which is also really good. Really enjoyed it. And I'd read some mixed reviews online. I don't know, maybe I'm not that sophisticated, but I thought it was fantastic. Alice in Wonderland, brilliant. Okay, and this is the bottom floor. So you can go to the bottom floor of the Royal Theatre through here. So we've got a choir on that one. And then through here is the music hall. Now, the first time I went on the cruise, I didn't really hang out here too much, but it's been quite good on this cruise. Spent a fair bit of time here. The kids have been getting into pool, lots of space. It's really cool. It's a good place to escape kind of the hustle and bustle. A lot of trivia. A lot of trivia. I also like that the kids can just be in here as well. It gives them a little insight into the world of adults. You can come in here and hang out and play some pool and be amongst it. This turns into a nightclub at about 1 o'clock at night. Now they do have there is a band I mentioned upstairs called, I think they're called Iconic Band or something. And they're like some Rastafarian blokes. And their Rego's great. They had a Bob Marley tribute night here and we came and watched it. They did a really good job. As soon as they get out of the reggae, they're all over the shop, way out of time, almost impossible to listen to. They did a Michael Jackson one in there last night, lasted 2 songs, I just couldn't stand it any longer. So that kind of quality bar just kind of fluctuates a bit on this ship. The English pub, they usually have a busker style scenario in here. You can see kind of the stand down the end there. The sport's been on here, the Australian Opens have been on while I've been down here, so everyone's been in here watching the tennis. Now the thing about this bar here is it has a couple of beers that the rest of the bars don't have, including Coopers and Little Creatures. The only 2 beers on this boat that I would drink because I'm an absolute beer snob. The rest of them are 4X, VB, News, Crowns, Coronas, all that kind of stuff, which I wouldn't touch in the depths of thirst. But I don't know why they don't have them on the rest of the boat. It's really disappointing. You can see the hustle and bustle down here is pretty on. Sorrento's, a pizza joint. Come here at any time of the day and they will give you pizza. I haven't seen them do anything but pizza. I'm pretty sure on the previous boat they did garlic breads and maybe even some pastas, but I might be wrong. But it's just been purely pizza here. But this can save you if you're just in the middle of the day, if you're feeling a bit too pissed or you've just gotten back on the boat from a tender. Then this is the place to go. You can also get some sandwiches and some treats in here and some drinks, which are all included. And you've got the coffees across there as well, bottles of water and so forth. There must be a shopping thing going on at the moment. Oh, I'll have to show you the Bionic Bar. There's another bar in here, which I basically haven't gone into. We're going to do line dancing in here and a few things like that. Got an art thing going on at the moment. So I mean, like, I'm not even going to begin to start talking about, oh, it's an auction. About all the things you can do on this boat. Belly flopping competitions, volleyball, all the different classes, origami. There's a towel folding course later on today. There's a science course. There's talks about Elon Musk and all kinds of things. So I'll go down. I'll show you what's down there, the depths of hell, shortly. Guest services is the place that you will no doubt have to go and won't want to go. I can say at least this is probably the biggest, closest to the biggest queue I've seen. Maybe it's just got to the second thing. Now on the last boat I went on, which was the Odyssey of the Seas in the Mediterranean, this queue was unusable. It was dead set, like every time you came here it was just like, I'm not going to waste my entire career standing in that. Whereas I've been able to go there a couple of times without any major issues at all. I'll show you down there in a sec, but just so you know, there is a casino, which I assume never closes. Yeah, hot tip, if you ever want to booze and the other bars aren't open, just come down to the casino. So all the tables, all the things that you would expect. Yep.
Sorry, no videos.
Alright, I'll leave. That makes sense actually. They do have Texas Hold'em tournaments down here, but I'll double check this and I'll put a note on the video if I'm wrong, but it was $100 US buy-in. I was just like, geez, that was the same on the Odyssey of the Seas, and I really, really wish they just do an opportunity for just regular punters to have a crack. You know, $10, $20, a typical buy-in like that, and don't let any of those guys who are happy to spend $100 go near it. Just let your regular Joes have a go. Here's the dining hall. Now, I might not be allowed in here, it might be closed. So you have access to this as part of your ticket. You can come here whenever you want. My favourite map. You can get a little bit busy waiting for a line, but you can book in your rooms, which is good. Guys, do you mind if I just quickly give it a look? There's 2 stories, it goes down. So you can come in here, it's all closed at the moment, but get a table, eat. It's got a really bad smell in here. I noticed that last night. Maybe it's just meat cooking somewhere. I really enjoyed the dining hall on my last cruise, which was in the Odyssey of the Seas. I thoroughly enjoyed sitting here and talking with people, and the food was really good. We came here last night and the food was not good. The service was horrendous. Like I waited half an hour for someone to come and ask me for a drink and ended up going up and go to the bar outside. The bread was served stale. The service was just really bad and the food was really bad. So I think that's because I came at transition time. I was here there's like a 9 o'clock start and like a 5:30 start or something, and I got here at like 8:30 and they were mostly just cleaning. So maybe I just lucked out there. But it's enough for me to cancel my reservation for tonight, and we're just going to go to Windjammer because the food was better and the service was better. Which is disappointing. Anyway, thank you. Now I should talk a little bit about the actual cruise itself, where we've gone. So this is the Quantum of the Seas South Pacific cruise It went to Vanuatu, Port Vila for 2 nights. It was then supposed to go to Mystery Island for 1 day and then go to New Caledonia for 1 day. Now we didn't go to Mystery Island. I'm not sure why. I'm sure there's a legitimate reason. I'm not trying to say there wasn't. It was very disappointing. We just got a letter when we first got on the boat saying, we don't think the weather's going to be any good in 7 days, so we're skipping it. And I was like, how would you know what the weather's going to be like in 7 days? So I'm not really sure what happened there with Mystery Island. I asked a bunch of different people, got a bunch of different answers. One guy told me there's a bug on there, they don't want getting to Australia. Another person told me the waves are too big for tenders. Another person told me there was a cyclone. I don't know. I looked at the weather report and it was all fine. So that was a bit frustrating, but I haven't heard anyone really complaining. And we ended up having such a good time on Vanuatu and got some great snorkeling in anyway. So maybe it wasn't a big loss. There's Alice in Wonderland, it's so good in here. Food's so good, the experience is so good. Whatever happens, if you get on this boat, do not miss Alice in Wonderland, especially if you've got kids. Really, really, really good. And around here we have Zoomies. No, like I said, I'd read a couple of reviews saying it wasn't that crash hot, but we really enjoyed it. I've got to say, out of all of these specialty dining things, I could barely lie down sideways at the end of it. I was so full. Like I actually couldn't lie down on my bed. Really yummy, great staff, great customer service. Yeah, really, the specialty dining has been definitely a highlight of this visit. I know it costs extra, so it's not the easiest thing to just do. Over here is one of my favourites, the Bionic Bar. It's amazing how rarely you use this, considering how awesome it is. But you literally just use this iPad over here, plug in a cocktail, and the robot makes it. It's not going at the moment though. I've never seen it not going. Anyway, I've got a separate video on this. Now I should talk about the booze package. Yeah, look, if you know you're the type of person that's really going to have a drink, then it's definitely worth it. I bumped into people on this boat or on this ship who were like, we didn't get it, we really regret it. Definitely if you've got a lot of at-sea days on your cruise, so we had shore excursions, I'll talk about that in a bit as well. We had, 6 days at sea, or it ended up being 7 days at sea, and it was supposed to be 4 days on land. So days on land, you know, you might not drink your drinks package worth of money. The days at sea though, you bloody well will for sure. Because you're sitting there, you're sitting in a spa, you're relaxing or whatever, and someone's coming over and saying, hey, you want a cocktail? And you're like, hell yeah, I want a cocktail. And I can't say anything about other cruise boats and their drink packages, but I can say that Royal Caribbean for sure gives you legit booze. It's not watered down or anything like that, and the cocktails, they make them proper, and it's top shelf. Like I've been drinking a lot of Select Cask Glenfiddich, for example, and a lot of Grey Goose. So that's one thing that you can absolutely say is that if you do get the drinks package here on the Royal Caribbean ships, you are getting real booze and a lot of it. This is Jamie, as in Jamie Oliver's kitchen. This place was amazing. So good. Really, 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 really yummy. Just everything was great. Service again, fantastic. We had a Turkish bloke serving us. What's his name? Jean. He was awesome. And here's the vintage wine place. I actually haven't gone in here yet. You know what? After this video, I'm totally going in there. And I'll take you down to 270. I think it's also worth pointing out that the actual people on here are being still good humans. Real mix of cultures and races and languages being spoken, but everyone's been pretty cool. So this is another one of my favourite parts on the boat down here, 270. There is a cafe in here which is currently closed because we're transitioning between breakfast and lunch right now, where you can get some healthier food options if you don't want to hit the buffet every single night. This is where everyone was just coming from, by the way, so there must have been something on here, a dance class or something. They do big dance classes here and aerobics classes and things like that. So this is a huge space looking at the back of the boat. The ship, sorry, shouldn't call it a boat. There's a library at the back there as well, some games and a couple of books you can just swap in and swap out. And yeah, if you were going to do some work or something on a laptop, this is where you'd come. Now, up here, there's TV screens. And I've seen shows here and they're amazing. The way they use these screens all come out and do things and turn around and everything like that. And people pop out of the roof, and come out of the floor. It has some great shows here, and we're on day 10 and there hasn't been a show here yet for us. I think there's one we missed, but it's getting replayed tonight and we're going to it. But this was the place for shows, the last boat I was on. And I'm a bit bewildered by that. And it's a real shame, but I can't wait to show the kids tonight. That screen, the way they use those screens is absolutely incredible. And this is a killer facility. Really great. And like I said, you can come here and this is where if you want to just get a bit of work done or read a book, it's nice and air conditioned, just really nice. Hey, that cafe is open from this side, I can show you it. In regards to the internet, it works. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it works enough to do emails, browse, basic browsing, as long as the site, your browsing's a good, well-built site. Yeah, there's a cafe down here, so you get wraps and tea and stuff. Coffees and stuff here as well. But like I've been struggling to say stream something. Like, so I wanted to watch the Premier League highlights, for example, and it can't do it. It just chops. So I gave up. And if you were to have to download and move big files, like on one day for work I had to download a 1.6 gigabyte file, and it was like a couple of good hours to do that. But I don't think, you're not here to work, right? I don't think it's going to cause any issues unless you're planning on streaming heaps of stuff. It's not going to work for you. If you just want to browse internet and use WhatsApp to communicate with other people, which is what I've been doing the whole time, using WhatsApp to communicate with people on the ship, that is, and tell them, hey, I'm still sitting in this bar drinking this cocktail. It works fine for all of that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Well, like
Right here and play some cards. Bit of computer access. Some books. No kids' books, sadly. Didn't come home across Harry Potter or anything for my kids. It's just adult books, unfortunately. Again, I know that they're trying hard for families, but I do feel like they haven't quite hit the mark in a few places. Which sounds ludicrous to say, really, because my kids have had an absolute ball and heaps of fun. So, you know, it's a criticism, but it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. And the kids have had such a fantastic time. It's going to take them weeks to recover, I reckon, from all the running and late nights and dancing and playing and swimming and eating. Kids have probably eaten a year's supply of ice cream, and that's no joke. Anyway, I'm going to walk you back through. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about the shore excursions. I couldn't afford to do any of the shore excursions. They're quite pricey for a family of 5. I have spoken to people who didn't know, and they said that they were fantastic. They had a really good time with the excursions in Vanuatu and New Caledonia. So I just realised I never got to tell you, after Mystery Island we went to New Caledonia for a day. But yeah, the shore excursions, the beauty of them is you just kind of get off and you straight on an air-conditioned bus and you're straight to wherever you're going, you make the most of it, you enjoy it, and they get you back in time, blah, 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 blah. All of that's true and good and great, but you pay for it. Whereas we kind of got off the boat and fought with the locals, argued for some prices for taxis and stuff. Still went and had an amazing, fantastic day, no doubt about it. But if you're not up for that kind of mental battle, then the shore excursions will take all that mental stress away. Whereas if you're up for it, if you're up for getting off the boat and haggling with some drivers and working out where to go and going to the information centre and finding some local markets and just wandering through them and eating crap off some guy off the side of the street and all that type of stuff, which is the way I like to travel, definitely harder with kids, then you can definitely do that. And we still had a fantastic time. We still got to some great places. As for the cruise itself, the loss of Mystery Island was a bit of a blow because that extra day at sea really kind of drags. Not in a bad way. Like, it's still so relaxing and fun, but you just it's just another day on the buffet, another day on the booze, another day kind of just sitting in the sun, and it can get to you. Like, you're just want to get off and walk around and do some hiking and do some stuff, and maybe I just needed to be more stringent with the way that I did activities on the boat, but I would like to do this again, and I'd really like to do it with maybe 1 or 2 more stops, just so there's a bit more of a mix between on sea and on land. So not doing 4 straight days at sea and then 3 straight days on land. More like a couple of days at sea, a couple of days on land, a couple of days at sea, a couple of days on land. Something like that would, I think, be the perfect mix. Anyway, there you go. It's an exhaustive tour of Quantum of the Seas. And look, I know that I've probably said quite a few things which you could say were sounded harsh or criticisms. I do want to say, like I said at the start, I've had a really good time. There's no doubt about it. I'm definitely going to do it again. And I can't wait to do it when the kids are a little bit older as well. Because I think at the ages mine are now, it's just a little bit too much hard work, and it wasn't quite enough for them. It wasn't really set out for them as well as I would have hoped. But I'll definitely be back. I'm definitely doing it again. I hope this video has given you some insight so you know what to expect if you decide to choose the Royal Caribbean Quantum of the Seas South Pacific adventure from Brisbane to Vanuatu and New Caledonia. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'm Chris Stead. Until next time, back on the road.